You have them?
Yep.
Oh. Welcome, everybody, to this week's Social Cafe, and we are talking about followers. Welcome, Gail.
Hello.
Distracted by a chihuahua. Oops, I better turn that off. We're going to have a Skype going off there. Okay, so we've been talking about followers, I think, on the different platforms, actually, in the Twitter chat. Have people mostly been talking about followers on Twitter?
Mostly, but not totally.
Okay. Now, I love your theories on this, Gail, and you told me about it, what, has it been like 3 years or something? The whole premise of your brand as far as the local.
Well, yeah, I try to get people to understand, everyone says, I don't want to limit my audience. Well, if you have 50,000 followers spread all over the world, you don't have a concentration of anybody, and you're one of thousands or tens of thousands of people doing what you do. You're better off if you focus. If you're the person that does marketing for dentists in New York, then every dentist in New York, could recommend you to their friends who are dentists. But if you're just an internet marketing person, like even me, if you tell me I'm an internet marketer, I go, yeah, what does that mean to you? Who am I going to recommend you to? It's best to focus on a location and a niche. So you could have clients all over the world, and I'm not saying turn them down if they come your way. I'm just saying focus on building a clientele where you are in a particular niche. Don't be a generic marketer. Be a particular kind of marketer.
That makes sense, the niche and the local.
Well, partly, yes. Partly because when you build an audience, that audience becomes valuable. Other people will want to reach that audience, and you can sell advertising, and you can promote things. But the other reason is that almost everything that we do, there's a learning curve. And if you have one customer of each kind, then you have to do everything from scratch each time. But if you have a whole bunch of customers all have the same kind of business, you do the research once, and now it's done. And so you can make more money and spend less time getting it done.
That makes sense. Well, I've said this before, but probably not all the audience has heard this. But I tried on the Twitter account, Love Los Angeles. That is like completely. I shouldn't say it's completely automated, as if I don't respond to people when they tweet me. But I used all of your strategies. So anything that thing has as far as followers is like based on Gail's strategies.
All right. So now you have a Los Angeles account, and it'll have some people in it. People will follow you that aren't in Los Angeles, and you'll probably follow them back, and that's okay. But if you're going to actively go out and get followers, if you build it all in Los Angeles, then every small business in Los Angeles that wants to reach that audience is your potential advertiser.
Good point. That's good.
And that's what people don't understand. If I'm like a wedding planner for everybody, I'm really a wedding planner for no one. But if you do like Try Wedding Central does with their WedBar Twitter chat, it's actually 4 states, I think, but it's called Try Wedding Central. So New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, that area, right, they can all work together and refer work to each other and get each other hired. But if she just had a global focus, that wouldn't be happening.
Well, and you mentioned something about advertising, and I think a lot of people think, well, I don't have an actual product or service that will focus on the local, so therefore it doesn't apply to me. But you brought that up. It does make sense that even the things we don't think are local may be local, like advertising.
Well, ironically, Walmart actually pursues blogs based on where they're located. They actually do local-based blog outreach programs. I don't know how many people are aware of that.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Walmart, they went and found, like, they'll want to do a program in a particular city, and they will look for bloggers just in that city, which is another reason every blogger should have a location on their blog, especially if they're doing any PR-friendly work. That's what they call it in the mom blog world. PR-friendly means I'm willing to entertain interactions with brands.
Really? I always wondered what that meant.
Yeah, that's what it means. That means I will talk to you. See, some bloggers are private, and they don't want to hear any pitches. And PR friendly means that you're open to pitches from brands.
So did you say that you are not PR friendly? Did you just say that?
No, well, I am. I
Okay.
sometimes would, but I don't really promote corporations.
Okay.
I'm very small business focused. So that's the other reason why I push local. Small businesses really need us.
Right.
The big brands, let's say I'm Coca-Cola, they can hire anybody, which is a good reason why they could hire anybody, and that they probably won't pay you very much. But Coca-Cola could hire anybody. McDonald's could hire anyone, right? Walmart could hire anyone, even though they like to do some kinds of local things. But if you're a small business, let's say I'm whatever kind of business I am in Los Angeles, then I only want to advertise in Los Angeles, and I don't have a lot of choices. I could put it on Craigslist and hope people don't keep flagging it and getting it deleted. I could advertise in the Thrifty Nickel and hope somebody reads it. I could put it in the local newspaper, but who reads that, right? I mean, even if you read the newspaper, you probably don't read the classifieds or the display ads.
It's been a few years.
Right, and so there's actually, if people don't realize, there's a whole lot of solutions that I'm actually a member of, like Tap Influence and Swerve, who their task in life is to identify influencers and hook them up with brands. So I've actually, they might come to me and ask me, am I willing to tweet something, and honestly, I don't think it comes out well for the brands because they pay me like $5.60-something to do one tweet. I guess if they get a good sale, then it'd be worth it. But if they're paying everybody $5 a tweet and they're not generating sales, they're going to lose money in a hurry.
Unless the goal is brand exposure.
Right, but that's why you need a local audience. If you have an awesome audience that's almost all in Los Angeles, you can say to a brand, look, I can put you in front of these people that are all in Los Angeles. Right, and if you're a niche, like maybe you're the coolest food blogger in Los Angeles. If someone has a restaurant they want to launching it to your big audience in Los Angeles makes a lot of sense. Launching it to my bigger audience that's nationwide or worldwide makes zero sense. Because what are the odds that the people that follow me who happen to be in Los Angeles happen to see it?
That makes sense. And that really relates to what you're talking about even this evening as far as followers. That's part of isn't that the initial step then? Define your audience, your target audience?
Yes, define your goal. Why are you doing social media? If you're a business, it's to find people that want to buy whatever it is you sell. And for most businesses, that means where they are. I mean, there are some, if you're an e-commerce site, they could be anywhere. But even then, it's a good idea to promote locally because people tend to go, oh, I'm from there, and then they want to buy. Where if you were somewhere else, they wouldn't say that, and they might not buy. There's an added connection if you're where they are. Like, I get that all the time. People tweet at me, hey, I'm so glad to meet somebody in Dallas. And so it's important to them that they connect with me as though I'm in Dallas, even though it's kind of irrelevant given what I do and that my clients are international. But it's still a good idea because some people want to see people real life, live. But the main thing is that audiences are valuable. If you grow an audience and the audience is interested in a particular thing, that audience is a targeted audience. That's the audience the advertisers all want to reach. And I don't mean you have to advertise to them. I mean that if you find something really cool you think your audience would like, that brand would be. You can help that brand by talking about it to your audience. And eventually you can charge them for that if you want to, or you don't have to. But the whole goal is the stronger the audience, the more connections you have. And if you have a niche and a location, that's the strongest connection you can get, pretty much.
Now, what about segmentation? That was something Con Sweeney came up with the questions that we use for the Twitter chat. Thank you, Con. Yay. And one of them was segmentation as far as your different audiences. Is that something that you do in GrowMap?
I don't so much. Well, I do. All right. An example of segments in GrowMap is I have followers who are bloggers. I have followers who are community managers. I have followers that are social media managers. And I have followers who are small businesses. And so those are different segments of my audience. Does
So
that make sense?
how would you do that within Twitter? Like how would you, it's not like you can say only send this out. I mean, you could do that on Facebook. You could have different lists and say it's only viewable to this segment.
Right. Segmentation, we do that more in if you're like a B2B and you're selling a solution that's only suitable for a particular audience, then you might segment it. But you can have segments. I'm trying to think. Okay, let's make something kind of obvious. Let's say I have T-shirts, and some of my T-shirts are golf themed, and others of my T-shirts are skateboarder themed. Okay, so I would have two segments, and the stuff I would share with my skateboarders, I wouldn't share with my golfers, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you would segment is you can segment running ads on Facebook, running ads on LinkedIn, and in communities and groups. So like your business might have T-shirts that you sell to a lot of different people, but you might have a golf community on Google Plus that you like to hang out in, and those people you would talk golf with. But you might have a skateboarders community on Instagram, and those people you talk skateboarding. And so those are two different audiences for the same product. Not really the same product. I mean, it's the same product, but it's a different segment of that. And so that's all segmentation means, is that you divide your followers or your target audience based on interests, age group, so that you can reach them. Like you couldn't sell rock and rollers by giving them a commercial that had Dolly Parton in it.
Unless they like mature women with hefty.
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother kind of segmentation.
That's a good example, though.
But that's a good example of understanding your segments. There was a commercial for Carl's Jr., is it? With the naked woman walking through. Carl's Jr. came up with a supposedly organic menu, but to promote it, they used a woman with obviously not natural breasts walking
trying to figure out a different word to use.
through the. And so, as somebody wisely pointed out on one of the posts where I saw them talking about this, they might have missed their target audience, because men who are attracted to that woman really don't care about probably organic food, but the women who want the organic healthy food for themselves and their kids probably would be offended by the commercial.
That's even better than, I was going to run an example by you to see if you'd seen this one for Jack in the Box, where there's this ad, this gal is folding clothes in a clothing store, and I don't know if it's her boyfriend dressed up as Jack in the Box or someone brings her food and tips over everything, the mannequin and so forth. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen that one.
Because I was breaking down the marketing message and the target audience of that ad, and there's nothing in the message except maybe seeing the food and just salivating over food because you're seeing it. There's nothing in that message that says come buy Jack in the Box.
Yeah, marketing is an interesting niche, and sometimes in an effort to grab attention, you miss the mark.
Yeah.
And that's the most charitable way I can put it. And I find it ironic that, like, GoDaddy, you notice they have changed they got a lot of flack for doing what Carl's Jr.'s did in that commercial. GoDaddy was catching a lot of flack over their very sexualized, nudity-based commercials, and now they've totally changed. And so now they've got Carl's Jr. going that way now. So, there's a lot of arguments over who's your target audience and what's your message. And I would say the message Carl's Jr. had made sense for the male dynamic, but I don't know how that really connects to organic. I mean, there are some men that might want to eat organic, although fast organic food is kind of, I don't know if we believe that there is such a thing. But that's what they were.
Boobs and organic food somehow go together. Hey, Chevy, I'd love to bring you in on this. Everybody, Chevy.
Oh, hi, Chevy.
We see you. I think we hear you.
No, now she's muted. Now she's unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there we
Yes.
go.
Oh crap! I didn't know I was unmuted. I had like the TV on. Could you guys hear me?
No, you're fine.
Okay, awesome. But hey,
Hi, we're just talking about advertising and followers and boobs and organic food and
boobs and organic food, two great
Yeah.
combinations.
Segmentation. And I was talking about how the reason for segmenting is to target your audience and grow the right segments of your audience and give them the right message, not the wrong one.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I
Yeah,
think
I definitely did catch the.
So Con says he eats organic all the time. I guess maybe he would like to see that commercial.
Yeah.
He's not here to defend himself.
I'm
don't
sorry,
think
Con.
we're
I'm thinking.
in clean eating.
Well, I'll have to look that up. Is that on YouTube?
I saw it in a post. I don't know. It probably is. All the Super Bowl commercials tend to end up on YouTube.
Okay. And you were saying that GoDaddy has moved away from the sexualized commercials, so they're
Didn't know
changing.
that. So GoDaddy had a really bad reputation, and they changed the leader of GoDaddy, and they have changed their brand has changed how they present themselves.
You know, the same thing happened. Fredericks of Hollywood used 2 years ago be known for kind of being on the edge, and that was something that, you know, that really worked for their audience. And then Victoria's Secret started to go that way, and people started complaining about Fredericks of Hollywood. So now it's like Fredericks of Hollywood is really tame, and Victoria's Secret's doing what Fredericks of Hollywood used to do. It's like they've switched.
Maybe their audience got older.
The merchandise at Fredericks has not changed though, which is how I don't understand that they switched.
Still like the platform boots with the really.
Like they're all still like corsets and lingerie and sexy costumes year round, so it's just hard to see how you could change that.
It's like they focus on something different as far as the public, like they got too many complaints. But I always thought, well, go back to what you used to do, because I mean, you know, like if Victoria's Secret's doing it, then why not? So in
Yeah,
that case,
I guess it's cool now. You know, like people are, oh, we're so modern and we can accept new things, but you know, Fredericks was at a time when it wasn't cool, and I don't know if they'll ever like go, oh, you know what, we can do this again.
so from that, it's almost like when we're trying to gain followers, we need to periodically reassess what our marketing messaging is to ensure that we keep our followers and gain new followers.
Right. So the point of the followers. And the reason why you have, like, you're a good example. You have Deborah E., who's a jazz musician, and the followers are musician interested in music, and probably jazz music specifically. And then you have Deborah Anderson, Social Web Cafe, which is social media, and those are two separate audiences, and so you have two separate Twitter accounts.
Yes,
And
that's a good point. I completely segmented.
Right, yeah, that's really the best way to do this, is that if you have two very dissimilar things and you want to have an audience, you really have separate audiences. Now, it's not totally separate. Like in my Grow Maps, even though Grow Map is primarily small business social media marketing, I share other stuff in there, like organic food, or like promoting the Kickstarter right now for the people who are making the organic pasta. And so I share some other things in there, because you want to be human. You don't want to be just sharing your own stuff. You don't want to be boring to the point of you just share the same social media stuff over and over and over. You want to have some variety. You got to have some pretty pictures in there, and something that lets people know who you are. Like I sometimes talk with people about horses, you know, and so even though I'm not really in horses technically anymore, I still have a few, but I'm not in the business of horses. I still, like, I got recently 2 different people asked me to come to Cora and answer a question about horses.
I saw that. I got an email on that.
And
So question for you, from a follower-centric point of view, what's too much? Like what kind of balance? Is it like an 80-20 where 80% has to do with the brand of the particular, say, Twitter profile, and 20% of it has to do with the person behind the brand?
Well, there's not really one way to use Twitter, and we've talked about that before. Like, my way to use Twitter is I have a lot of followers. I share a lot of content. If people don't like a lot of stuff, then they don't want to follow me. I've only got one complaint in 7 years or 6 years or however long it's been, and that, ironically, was from a marketer that I knew who said I shared too much, but he didn't want to unfollow me because I shared good stuff. So I said, well, can't really help you. It's not. I actually wrote a post. It was it's not Burger King. You can't have it your way. Because I couldn't. At that point, I think I had 28,000 followers or something. I said I can't do it 28,000 different ways, and now I can't do it 58,000 different ways. You know, I do it my way, and if you like it, you stay, and if you don't like it, you'll leave. Everyone should not get freaked out when people unfollow. Sometimes it's just like unsubscribing. I unsubscribe because my email overfloweth, not because I don't like what you send me. People shouldn't jump to conclusions, but basically what the old standard is, for every one thing you share from your own blog, you should share 9 or 10 things from other sources. Mm-hmm. Some people on Twitter, I share a lot, I interact a little. That's my style on Twitter. There are influencers who have a lot of followers. They have the fame model going. They have a lot of followers. They follow very few people back, and they mostly talk to other influencers. They don't share a lot of stuff. Okay, so there's different styles, like Madeline Sklar, who you know, and Marcia Collier. They have a style kind of like mine. I might share more than they do, or they might share more than me. I'm not sure. But we kind of have the same thing where we share good stuff and we interact with people. Some people just interact with people. A few people use it like it's AOL Messenger, or they even have their Twitter's private, which is kind of interesting. But there's no one right way. And the main thing is, it's just like in a regular conversation. You don't want to, like, overwhelm everyone as much as you can balance it a little bit. But some people are always going to complain. If you were quiet, some people would complain you were too quiet. And if you were, very busy talking to people, some people would complain you're too busy. There's no one right way, really. Be nice to everybody, interact some, share some good stuff, and if people follow or unfollow, don't get stressed out about it.
I heard someone say that they actually looked forward to unsubscribes. Because now here I'm talking about like subscriptions to newsletters in the same sense you'd have followers on Twitter. They actually are excited when they would have an unsubscribe, because to them that meant that somebody looked at the newsletter enough to realize that newsletter was not for them. So then they felt that was engagement. Even if they lost someone, that's somebody that made an actual decision that it wasn't the right newsletter.
Yeah, I actually tell them why I leave if they give me that opportunity. And it's usually because I don't have time to read it anyway, and I don't want to cost you money, because I'm not reading it anyway, because that's just, my thing is not email. Email to me is just one giant headache of too much stuff I never have time to look at. But there's different styles. Everyone has different styles. But the main thing is that have a plan. Figure out who you wanna focus on. Figure out what your goal is. And then, you want to identify, once you know who your followers are, you'll know what to share with them. If you have no idea who your followers are, you don't know what to share with them. Just by sharing the right stuff that's related to your goals, you will get more followers who are relevant, and you will lose followers who aren't, and that's a good thing.
That makes sense. So you would like define your audience, target your audience. What happens if your audience is different than what you defined or targeted?
Well, some of that's going to happen, especially on Twitter, which is an open platform. And, I wouldn't really worry about that. The point is that when you're actively growing something, grow the right thing. But don't be concerned if, lots of people follow me and I don't have any idea why. People connect with me on LinkedIn and I don't know. I look at their profile and say, that's interesting. And I'm friendly. If they want to connect, I don't know why, I'll go ahead and connect with them. If they start spamming me, I'll unconnect them. But most people don't. They just want to connect. And sometimes I have no clue why they wanted to connect with me, but, I let them. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't hurt anything.
Other than like marriage proposals or something from 22-year-old girls or something on that.
I get more of that on Skype. And they're always general. They're generals, right, or doctors. Very funny.
See, you get those. I get the really young ones or something, and it's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm married. I can't marry you. Debbie, any thoughts? Do you get marriage proposals on Skype? Okay, I know this is random for followers, but
No, I have not gotten any marriage proposal on Skype. Though I think like towards the college years, the first college years, there were probably some on Facebook.
yeah, yeah. I think I have not logged in as Deborah E on Skype because I had like 3 marriage proposals in a row, and it was like, okay, I'm not logging in anymore.
That is so weird. Who does that?
I don't know. You know what else is weird? And I'm going to say this because I'm hoping people will understand this. People send me Skype connection requests all the time. And even if I'm right there at that minute and I say accept, then they never say anything forever. That doesn't make sense to me. It seems to me if you want to connect with me on Skype, you had a reason. And you would say something like, hi, this is why I wanted to connect with you.
So if you're speaking Skype, you're not looking at it as followers. Those are actually like 2 address books connecting. That is a, hey, I want to talk to you about this. I want to meet you. I want to find out who you are, your brand, whatever. Whereas Twitter, you could follow someone just because you're curious and decide later to chat.
Right, yeah. It doesn't, if somebody follows me, in fact, if they say thank you for following, I don't really have a good comeback for that. You're welcome.
Thank you for saying thank you.
Yeah, and so I don't really understand that part. But on Skype, that's a little different. That'd be like calling someone on the phone and then not saying anything.
Okay, that would be creepy.
But that's what Skype is. People send me a connection request and I accept it, and then they never say anything.
You know what's weird is the auto DM. I always hate that. I hate the auto DM when you follow someone and you get that. And it's so generic, and then if you can't respond because they don't follow you, like, and they.
I ignore DMs mostly. If I see a real one every once in a while, I'll answer it. But I pretty much ignore DMs, and I know a lot of other people do. I know a lot of people still do the auto DM thing, but I have never liked it from the very start. And because of auto DMs, I probably missed some real DMs and didn't. You can't always tell if it's an auto or not.
I'm with you on that one. I tell people do not DM me because I don't pay attention at all. There's like 100 auto DMs and I can't find the real ones. Although I think, Chevy, I sent you a DM. That was like 1 in maybe 2 people for the whole year that I contacted.
Yeah, I don't use them. I don't use them a lot, but every once in a while, I really don't get a lot. Every once in a while, someone will DM me, and it's usually to get outside contact information anyway. But
well,
yeah,
thank you for. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just really always hated that auto DM, especially if they ask you a question and they don't follow you, so you can't respond anyway. And one time I got one on the nonprofit one, and it was weird because he was asked. He really should be careful about what he sends out because he was sending out a tweet about it was a DM about services. He was a photographer. And I'm thinking, oh, this guy is messaging me to tell me he wants to donate his services as a photographer. So, you know.
Yeah, they gotta be careful.
You want a great tip to get really good followers?
Yes, that's a great close. Go for it.
Figure out what you can tweet to them that just invites an answer. Like, thank you for following me doesn't really invite much of an answer other than thank you. Asking someone really complex questions, I don't recommend that. Because a lot of people are going to go, oh, and the other people are going to ignore you. But say something that invites an answer. Like, look at their profile and say, you know, oh, what kind of, like the other day, I looked at a profile and there was a horse on it, and I said, I'm trying to figure out what kind of horse that is in your profile picture. And she said she was too. It was a picture from her great-grandfather, and she wasn't sure. But she said it was in Kentucky. I said, well, it's probably a thoroughbred then. You know what? So that gave us something to talk about. You know, if somebody sends me a tweet that there's something I can say to it, I'm going to answer it. Like, if you go look at my Twitter, you'd probably see this. I don't answer all of them, mostly because I look at it and think, what the heck? What should I answer? I have no answer for that. But if you say something that invites an answer, I'm going to answer it. And that way you can actually connect with influencers if you say something inviting that extracts an answer. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the tweets just an answer is just obvious. Oh, and you jump right in and have a conversation.
Did you see what Khan just said? He goes, yeah, like, will you marry me? That's great, Khan.
No, not that question.
What you suggested, Gail, is perfect because you actually said it as a statement, which if they didn't respond, it didn't look like, how you ask a question, no one responds. It's like, is anyone paying attention or are we having a conversation? But you said it like a statement so that if she didn't respond, you're just pondering, but yet you opened it up for a response.
Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious to me. It's not that easy to do, though. It would take some getting used to come up with good things to say to people that they're likely to answer you back.
That's a science. Maybe that should be another social
cafe.
But
I think that's good. It's just like, to me, someone saying, how are you? I hate that question. I really hate that question because you already know they don't really want to know the answer.
Or what are you doing right now?
What?
Or what are you doing right now? None of your business. Do you want some of my time? Then ask for my time. Don't ask me what.
How can I help you? Yeah, I get that. They come on Skype and say, how can I help you? I just want to say hi. Okay, hi, bye.
Well, you know what?
Oh, no, I just want to get to know you. No, I don't want to chit-chat. Me, of all the random people in the world, you want to chit-chat with me. Now, if someone came to Skype and said, hey, I know you, I looked at your LinkedIn profile, or, I know you're into horses or something, then I would talk to them. But if they just want to randomly pick me out of one human out of the entire world so that they can just exchange, how is the weather? How are you? Fine. How are you? Fine. How's the weather? That chit-chat, I'm an INTP, and we just don't do chit-chat like that. I mean, I'll talk a long time first if we have something substantial to talk about. You want to ask me a question or you want to discuss something, a lot of things, but not how are yous. I don't,
Makes sense.
But you know what really gets people is just asking them anything about themselves. That's what I noticed. Like the people who get the most RTs, it's always some question they ask, like, oh, how would you respond to this? Or how would you do that? Or what are you doing? What are you reading? How are you doing? Like people just want to talk about themselves anyway. They're waiting on you to ask.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Good advice, guys. Thank you so much for joining in on the Social Cafe Hangout. It's so much fun. It went by really fast, but that's okay because we have another one next week, same time, same place. That was the fastest I've ever closed one out. So if you watch a little bit, this Hangout will come out in the Twitter feed under a search for Social Cafe. And obviously, if you're watching this, you already found it. But that said, thank you for joining us. Thanks, Gail. Thanks, Chevy.
Bye.
Night, Chevy. Thanks for being here.
Yay.